Hello, everybody. Robin here at Toadstool Tarot, and I have for you a novelty deck today. This is the Glow in the Dark Tarot from US Game Systems, which is not new. It came out in autumn 2022, but I've not seen many people talk about it, and for good reason, I suspect, because as with usual glow-in-the-dark items, they need to be charged before usage, and a tarot deck has 78 cards, so we don't often have a surface large enough to lay out 78 tarot-sized cards and charge for any length of time before using them. Now, this does come with a booklet, and in the booklet, it says that they can be used in black light. You can expose them to 7 to 8 minutes of ultraviolet black light or 3 to 4 minutes of direct sunlight. And you can also use a high watt light bulb or any LED light source as well. But that's kind of a long time to do this and a lot of space needed in order to make them glow. And I think the best way to do that, if you really want these to glow in the dark, is to either have a black light playing in the dark room where you're using these, or to shuffle and lay out your spread and then charge the spread with your light and then turn off the lights. But that seems like a lot of prep work to have something glow in the dark. Now, the novelty of that, this is interesting to me. This is the first time I have ever seen US Games do a really substantially hefty box. It's a real knocker of a box, very thick, and in the box, it's got some inserts here to make it easy to get the top off. In the box, it has a guide. The guide is, fairly substantial, but it's only got, 6-7 lines of key phrases or words describing the upright, and then another batch of reversed meanings. The cards themselves really appealed to me because I have a black and white RWS deck, but this one is a little bit different because it's black backgrounds and the print is white on black. The other one I had was black line work on white. So this one has the effect of being sort of Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork in the dark, or rather at night, which is a kind of a fun perspective. Now, these cards are really, really stiff. It's not, I guess it's thicker than a usual deck, but it's not overly thick. It's manageable. The cards are pretty stiff. And the weird thing about them, like I said, I didn't actually get it for glow in the dark. I got it because I wanted a black and white pixie deck that had dark backgrounds. So I have a number of her variations of her decks, but this one I really like what we see here, which even though it's a bright sunlight, the background's black. So it's got this weird kind of almost nighttime or dark world feel or shadowy feel. Now, the interesting thing about this deck is that it's heavily textured. It feels almost embossed, and I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up, but all this design work on here is raised almost like Braille. Now, I'm not sure that you could, if you were not sighted, whether you'd be able to read the images. I don't know if our fingers are that sensitive to make out what the picture is by touch. But it's an interesting sensation to handle these cards and feel the raised imagery on the black background. And this does have the copyrights that US Game System puts on there, but they put them on the back, not the front where the images are. And they're pretty subtle. They're like down in the corners. So it's pretty unobtrusive. So I'm just gonna like flip through them. But I think they're gonna be very weird sounding to shuffle. I don't know how they'd be to riffle shuffle because they're kind of stiff, but even overhand is sort of like shuffling sandpaper. And I kind of wonder how these will hold up rubbing against each other with this raised imagery. And I want to say the raised imagery feels like royal icing piped on cakes. You know, it's that kind of feel, which is a novelty in of itself to be able to feel the images. It's a strange tactile sense. It's kind of fun. I don't think it's going to be that fun kind of shuffling or handling the cards, but it's a kind of a fun, interesting thing to be able to feel the textures when you're holding them or using them. It gives you a real different sense of dealing with the cards. And they are matte. You can see a little bit of a reflection there, but it's a kind of a matte surface. I don't know if it's got a coating or not, but it doesn't feel kind of like dry matte. But I know I'm not explaining it very well. But the white area where the glow-in-the-dark material is feels a little more glossy or reflective than the black area, and I don't think the camera's picking that up. I do like the look of these cards, and I do sort of like this, being able to feel the images. Practically speaking, I think it might be an easier deck to work with, just to have this white print on black card and have it perfectly slick. But it's really interesting to handle them and feel that sensation of 3D. It almost feels like an etching plate would feel, or a linoleum cut block or something. It really does have a unique texture. And the back has a really fun texture to it, that repetitive small pattern. They're a little bit hard to pick up. The definition is very good. All the line work is clean. Of course, I haven't hit any of the trouble cards yet. Here's one. There's a lot of detail in this, but it seems like you can still see everything pretty well. I think if you're an RWS collector, this might be a fun or nice novelty to own this deck. But if you're going for that glow-in-the-dark effect, I'm not sure how happy you'll be with it. I don't know if I'll be able at the end of this video to charge and reflect a card or a spread for you, whether the camera will pick it up or not, but I might try. It has a really stark black and white feel to it. Now, glow in the dark or phosphorescent, I don't even know if I've got the right term. It's probably luminescent. Material, so far I've only seen in two shades. One is a sort of a ghostly green, and the other is kind of a violet. This one happens to be green. And happily or luckily, in regular light, this ink doesn't appear green because it's not really a pretty color. These are a little hard to pick up. I have seen the RWS on wood, sort of burnt wood or etched, laser etched into wood that looks like it has a kind of a texture to it. And that's almost the way that these feel. I mean, obviously they're not as thick as little tiles of wood or pieces of wood, or it would be an extremely thick deck, but it does have what I imagine that same sort of feel, only the opposite. These are raised images as opposed to recessed images. Another factor that kind of drew me into this deck was the price. Oddly, you'd think for this degree of novelty, it would cost some extra to make, but I suspect this was not popular because I found it temptingly on Amazon for about $13, which is a good price for any deck. And I don't know how long that price will stay that way. I also suspect if the price is going down and it's a year into the deck and there's not been much buzz about it, that they might be phasing this deck out. So if you're a collector, you might want to get it now before secondhand prices skyrocket. All right, let's see if we can do this with my flashlight. Let me turn my light off first. Okay. Gonna try and use a flashlight here to charge this up. And then we'll see. There you go. See that green? Not real bright, but I mean, I used a flashlight and I didn't charge it for very long. If you have a harsher light, oops, that might work better. So that's another thing. I don't know how long the charge will last. I haven't tested that. But again, I would recommend that for anybody interested in this deck, that they not get their hopes too high on the glow-in-the-dark aspect, even though it's advertised that way. I would say get it if you'd like a sort of embossed feel deck, and one that is white on black. So anyway, thank you for joining me today, and I'll be back with you again, hopefully very soon. Bye.